Greetings, folks. Iolair here. Today I have a replay featuring myself in the premium tier-VIII German heavy cruiser, the Prinz Eugen. Now, I posted the results of this match to my Facebook group a couple of days ago, so some of you watching already know the outcome of this match and the slightly awkward situation I have late in the battle, but I'll try not to spoil things too early here in this video for other folks that haven't seen that. Now, this is a match I played with my colleagues Jimmy Jazz in the Fantasque and Conan the Cantankerous in the Massachusetts. This is some very favorable matchmaking. We are top tier in a domination match here on Shards with a 1 tier-VI carrier per team. And my Prinz Eugen is commanded by Günther Lütjens from my Hindenburg, taking advantage of buff skills and hopefully some talents as well during this battle. So I've started over here on the west side by Alpha. We don't have any battleship presence on this flank, and our Hatsuharu has started to pull back as well, probably trying to get eyes on the opposing Hatsuharu. There, in fact, he's just showed up there. He's very low in health, and because I don't have enough strength on this side right now, I'm going to kite the other direction, because we know that in addition to the Hatsuharu, there is Colorado, a New Mexico, and a Helena, at least that we've seen so far on this flank. And while the Prinz Eugen is a very tanky cruiser, especially in tier-VIII matchmaking like this, I don't want to push in too early. We do give up first blood by losing our Wichita over at Charlie, I believe that was. Here comes a salvo from the Colorado. This is the only battleship I cannot bow tank with his 406mm guns. He doesn't get a very good hit on me, but the New Mexico does. So, again, I don't want to push in too early and get beaten up and taken out of the game. I definitely need to stay in this as long as I can, being a top-tier cruiser. And basically, like I said, I'm just going to kite the flank, try to keep things reset at Alpha as much as I can. Speaking of caps, we have given up both Bravo and Charlie to the opposition. And so while the ship counts are even, we did take down the Hatsuharu that was down here by Alpha. Again, while the ship counts are even, we are quite far behind, well past 100 points at this time. And again, I'm trying to keep the cap reset between firing on the New Mexico and on the Colorado, although the Helena is currently unaccounted for, and if he slipped into the cap, right now I can't reset him because I can't see him, or at least it would be very difficult to reset him because I don't know where he is, and he may be capturing this point for his team. In fact, now he's just showed up. So yeah, the Helena is in that cap, and it's going to be a little harder for me to try to keep this cap reset. And again, I'm going to have to continue to kite here because we just don't have the strength to be able to push down on this flank. If I can get the Colorado down, that will make it a little easier for me to continue to stay on this flank. It's his 406mm guns that make me a little bit nervous. Speaking of which, here comes another salvo. And okay, well, it looks like I dodged that full shot thanks to some RNG. It was actually reasonably well aimed, but fortunately I didn't take any hits, and that poor Colorado is burning in at least 3 places, and I do get my first kill here. So thanks to the Allied York, who's over here on the far west side helping to work these ships that are over in Alpha, putting them into a crossfire as well. So the next focus is going to be the New Mexico. Get another fire, that's good. And try to get him down, because if we can get him down, then it'll be much easier for me to push back into the cap. In fact, this is why I've changed the sides that I'm currently kiting on, because once I get the Colorado down, my intention was to get turned back around once we get the New Mexico out, and I can push down to Alpha and have my guns on my port side and be able to fire toward Bravo again if I needed to. We have now lost a couple more ships, so things have evened back up, even though we did take some ships down earlier. But our point differential is now well more than 300 points there. Nice. The New Mexico takes a torpedo, and he is flooding and burning, so this will hopefully make it a little easier to get him down, or be able to get him down more rapidly. Conan the Cantankerous in the Massachusetts, I should call out here, he has moved into Bravo to contest that cap, and he's in a face-off against one of the Massachusetts, against one of the Bismarcks, excuse me. So we'll have to see how that goes down. The opponents have completely wiped out essentially our full north flank, so there's not much we can do there. And there I do finish off the New Mexico for my second kill. And now, like I said, I can push back down. But I am quite far from the objective, so I'm kind of in a race to get back to a cap. The engagement between Conan and the Bismarck have just now been settled, with Conan coming out victorious in that engagement. Well, it still might be difficult for him to get Bravo because he's a battleship and he's probably quite easily detected. There is a Kagero that's was over by Charlie, so he may be able to keep Conan detected and keep him from being able to take the cap. Jimmy Jazz and Le Fantasque is moving to Bravo to help try to secure that cap. I requested our Hatsuharu to move and cap, which he's acknowledged, and he says he's on his way, which is good. And then I think I'm going to ask the York to see if he can take down the Helena, because the Helena is the only opponent on the south flank, and my presence is really needed more in the mid, as the opponents, their strong flank is in the north, and they're starting to push their way toward Bravo. In fact, we've just detected the Kagero, and Jimmy Jazz in La Fantasque. Hopefully he has a main battery reload ready to go and can finish off the Kagero, and that would take out the last destroyer on the opposition, which can help us with capping and spotting and so forth. It gives us an advantage, and he does indeed take down the Kagero. So we are now working with what looks like a 3-ship advantage, which is good, but we are still down by more than 200 points, and we've only now secured our first cap. And with the opponents having, well, they up to this point they did have 2 caps. They would continue to gain on us. The Hatsuharu has moved into Alpha, and I think you may have seen me put into chat that I did ask the York to see if he could go take down the Helena. The York can survive a couple of salvos until he closes the distance and takes down the Helena with torpedoes. You can see I keep looking back to see how that engagement might go down. It looks like the Helena's position, he won't be able to fire on the Hatsuharu, even if the Hatsuharu gets detected by planes. And yeah, I keep looking back here. Unfortunately, we just lost Conan to torpedoes from the carrier, but the York is able to take down the Helena. So now it's the biggest, well, the capital ships on our team at this point are going to be the Bayern and myself. And my goal here is I'm holding my fire until the last moment, because I don't want to put myself in a crossfire and be the focus of the flank. So I'm first going to kite here toward the hipper and get the hipper down and keep a strong angle against the Richelieu for the time being, although the Richelieu is probably focusing our Bayern over by Bravo. And once I can get this hipper down, there's a second fire on him. Then I can turn back around and move back towards Bravo, excuse me. Our Hatsuharu is headed for the carrier, which he has now just detected. I think this carrier player, if I remember correctly, was actually fairly skilled. And so we were a little bit concerned that the Hatsu might not be able to take down the carrier, but we'll have to see how that goes. I have one more salvo out. I don't need to watch the kill because he was so low on health, I knew even a single overpen would finish him off, which gives me my third kill. And now I can turn back in toward Bravo. Now we have a 4-ship advantage at this point, but we are still behind. Again, this is a reflection of the importance of taking and holding caps, is that even in a severe ship deficit, teams can still hold a significant point lead if they gain caps early and they hold on to them. Now, with me pushing into Bravo, my intention is to try to engage these ships on a 1-on-1 basis. I can bow tank the Richelieu, and in an ideal situation, I would be able to engage him at close quarters and take him down with torpedoes if I have to. I also have, well, I think I am going to switch to armor piercing here, yeah, because my first desire was to try to take down the Mogami with armor piercing. Unfortunately, we lose our Bayern to the Richelieu, so that leaves no effective battleships, although now I'm going to have to play that role, and this is where the German heavy cruisers, sort of their second characteristic of being sort of the close engagement brawling cruisers, comes into play. So I've been working as a long-range artillery cruiser up to this point, but now I need to close the distance and start working on the Richelieu and the Mogami. Again, I want to try to do this engaging them one at a time. I thought that they were going to move south through Bravo toward Alpha, but they're not doing that right now. And I also realized that at this point that the Richelieu, at least in that last salvo, was firing high explosive, and I thought that might reduce my angling requirements. The next time I engaged them, we get another reset. You can see our Hatsuharu in the south side of the map going after the Ryujo. So again, I can't see him. Well, I can't see him. Well, no, he is there. Okay, he's about half health. So far he's been doing okay. It looks like he's got some torpedoes out on the carrier, but we'll have to come back and see how he does. So again, I was expecting or was hoping that the Mogami and the Richelieu would move south, but they're not. So I've had to turn back around. Ooh, the Hatsuharu does finish off the Ryujo, so that leaves just the Richelieu and the Mogami. Now I'm going to send torpedoes here on my starboard side and then turn around and send on port if he ends up missing these. And this is where I make a mistake. I had made an assumption that he was going to continue to fire high explosive. And I realize now that that isn't, obviously should not have been the case, because he took down the Bayern with armor piercing, and he probably had high explosive loaded in anticipation of having to fire on a destroyer. But I end up eating a lot of penetrating damage, Not sure if I took any citadels there. So right now I'm trying to fire armor piercing into the guns of the Mogami to disable them. But this isn't being very effective. So I think I'm going to end up, I am switching to high explosive, I'm keeping my bow on the Richelieu. Plus the Richelieu is a front gun boat, so he can't get his main battery on me right now anyway. Gonna try to finish off the Mogami. It was testing to see whether my torps were ready on that side. They're not. I'm now sending short on the Richelieu. I'm gonna, this one more salvo on the Mogami, finish him off, and I'm gonna stop right here because this is the part that was kind of awkward, and I feel bad for Jimmy. He sent torpedoes on the Mogami, and I didn't realize this until this moment when I was sort of in the heat of the battle, and I can't avoid these torpedoes. And unfortunately, my own division mate is going to go pink, but I do get the Richelieu, Ermite Kraken Unleashed, and a double strike. So I'm sorry, Jimmy, that I got in the way of the torpedoes. We were in voice communication, so I probably missed that if you told me that they were on their way. But it was still a good match with a win as the outcome. So I hope everybody did enjoy the replay and the commentary. Please do leave your comments below. And as always, we hope to see you out there on the virtual seas, and we wish you happy sailing.